Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Thursday. Greetings and salutations. Thanks for being with us. We've got you for the next 3 hours here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis will be along for a little bit, in a little bit. Brendan Dorzinski is off today, so it's mostly you and me on this Thursday afternoon. And I'm grateful you're spending the time here. Talk a little sports on this Thursday. We have plenty to discuss. We've got some Chiefs audio to bring you. We have two terrific guests. It's going to be a good show today. Excited you've chosen to hang out here on 580 Sports Talk. The Chiefs and the Colts on Sunday. We're going to start to dive into that a little bit. I've got reasons for optimism and pessimism as it pertains to how the Chiefs match up in this coming game. 3 reasons each. 3 reasons for optimism, 3 reasons for pessimism for this matchup between the Chiefs and the Colts. So we're going to dive into those, and certainly curious as to your thoughts on that. We're also going to hear from Chiefs coordinators Matt Nagy and Steve Spagnuolo, both of whom spoke in Kansas City earlier today. We'll get their perspectives on this matchup against one of the surprise teams of the NFL season, the 8-2 Indianapolis Colts, coming to Arrowhead Sunday. It's a noon kick. You can, of course, catch it right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9 with pregame coverage starting at 11 o'clock from the Chiefs Radio Network, and all of the action from Mitch Holthus and Danon Hughes. And speaking of Mitch Holthus, he joins us today. He's one of our 2 great guests that I mentioned just a bit ago. Our weekly chat with the voice of the Chiefs, sponsored by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. That is coming up at 5:25 here today. So stand by for that. Mitch and I will chop it up. I almost said me and Mitch. That would have been bad grammar, and I would have had to apologize to all of the English teachers in the audience. So Mitch and I are going to chop it up about where the Chiefs go from here and how do they start this final stretch of important games with a win over the Colts and right the ship a little bit in Chiefs Kingdom. Mitch Holthus at 5:25 today. Our other guest is Rick Peterson of TopSports.news, covering Shawnee County High School sports and Washburn-Ichabod athletics. We'll get Pistol's thoughts on the reopening of Lee Arena. Rockhurst almost spoiled it, but the number 2 ranked team in the land, the Washburn-Ichabods, went on a late run, made some big plays down the stretch, and held off the Hawks 85-81 in the first game back at the renovated Lee Arena last night. Pistol was there. We'll get his thoughts. Also get a bit of a sub-state football playoff preview. Now's as good a time to mention as any, because of our broadcast contractual obligations to Kansas State and to Washburn on Friday night, we will not be able to air a sub-state playoff football game here on 580 WIBW. A couple of area teams, obviously 2 teams from Shawnee County are still alive, Hayden and Rossville, and we regret that we do not have the airspace for it, with Kansas State basketball playing at the Hall of Fame Classic in Kansas City and Washburn basketball in action at Lee Arena tomorrow night, the women in action in their first home game of the season. So unfortunate, but it is what it is, and we will be able to bring you action from Championship Friday next week, because somebody from the area, whether it's Hayden or Santa Fe Trail in 3A, or whether it's Rossville or Jackson Heights in 1A, somebody from the area, somebody from our sphere of influence, somebody from our Pigskin and Hoops annual guide is going to play for a state championship in 3A and 1A. And wouldn't you know it, both of those games are the same day in the same space. Wouldn't you know it? So we're going to have some Championship Friday for you, coverage for you next week. But tomorrow night, we will have the scoreboard show at 10 o'clock, barring a late K-State game. We'll have the scoreboard show then after K-State basketball, if K-State does end up in the late game tomorrow out there in Kansas City. But no live coverage of high school football tomorrow night on 580 WIBW or FM 104.9. Just the way the cookie crumbled this year and this particular week. But we will preview those sub-state games. Again, Hayden against Santa Fe Trail in 3A and Rossville in against Jackson Heights in 1A. We'll get Rick Peterson's thoughts on those and all the other local sports it's fit to talk about with Pistol coming up at the bottom of this hour. Plus, something I've been thinking about for a while, and I wanted to talk through today. Been thinking about the landscape of Big 12 football, both this year and in the future, where there was no guarantee that what Texas Tech did to try and buy a conference championship, and that's obviously an oversimplification, but right, they put a lot of money on the field, and there was no guarantee that that was going to work. A transfer-laden strategy did not work immediately for Colorado, most notably, and there are other places where, transfer players, it's hit or miss when you go into the transfer portal. There's no guarantee of success. Portaling guys in, no matter their star ratings or their alma maters or where they previously went to, not their alma maters, but their previous schools, there's no guarantee of success. But there's also no denying that what Texas Tech has done has worked. They put a lot of money on the field, and they're going to win the Big 12. And they're going to make the college football playoff. So it's worked. And it has worked because they decided they wanted to be good at football. And they spent their money in the right way. They brought in the right players, and they had the coach that could pull it all together. You need all of those things. But so much of success in college football with the NIL money that is being committed, with boosters now being able, instead of just putting their names on buildings or facilities or facility upgrades, they can go get players, serve as de facto team owners, and go get players. So especially now in modern college football, what matters most is not your tradition. It is not your location necessarily, because like Lubbock, Texas, and if you know, you know. What matters most is, do we want to be really, really good? And how badly do we want to be really, really good? So with that in mind, I have the want to meter, the want to tiers in the Big 12. Because there's one program this year that is showing that their want to exceeds everybody else, at least right now. But are there other programs in the Big 12 that could pull a Texas Tech? There's one very obvious one. But are there any others? And where does Kansas State, where does Kansas fall when it comes to how badly they want to be the top dog in the Big 12? And how realistic is it, because that's the balancing act, right? How realistic is it that they have the money and have the booster and donor support and have the NIL support to go and make that happen? So we'll talk about that later on in the show today. Plus, some typical shenanigans on a Thursday. We got our headlines. We got what is wrong with you. And we want to hear from you. The text line is 785-272-9429. 785-272-9429. Can also get at us in the YouTube comments. If you are watching the show on YouTube today, and you should, 580 Sports Talk's the name of the channel. Why don't you pop on in, subscribe if you haven't already. We're 34 subscribers shy of bringing you 580 Sports Talk Idol. Our stretch goal is 900 subscribers. We're at 866. So keep smashing that subscribe button. Drive that number up. If you are not yet subscribed, be our hero today and go subscribe to 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. And while you're watching the show live, hop in the live chat. Say hello. Introduce yourself. And interact with your fellow listeners and your hosts throughout the show. To answer the two questions, well, one question and one comment that I have seen floating down the live chat today, and a hello to Mark H. and Vance and Ryan in the chat. Number one, I do not know why the display names for everybody are your YouTube usernames and not like your screen names. I don't know why that's happening. I have no idea what that's all about. That has to be either a YouTube thing or a streaming provider, which in our case is StreamYard. Their thing. But I honestly do not know why that is happening. So apologies if that is upsetting or disconcerting to you if you were in the live chat today. I got nothing to do with it. The other part, yes, we are disappointed too that we will not have high school football on Friday night. We are. Contractual obligations, again, to Kansas State on 580 and to Washburn on 106.9. we have moved things to 94.5, just the Chiefs and K-State, and only if there is a K-State and Chiefs conflict. That's just how our contracts work. So it is what it is. And again, hopeful that you will join us for some Championship Friday action next week, because there's going to be some championship games, plural, maybe plural, on these airwaves on Championship Friday. So we'll hope you join us next week. And we hope you'll listen to Eric Peterson on the Kansas High School Football Scoreboard Show. But no live play-by-play from us on Friday night. All right. Let's get into some Chiefs football, shall we? The Chiefs play the Colts on Sunday, and I think we've wailed and rent our garments and gnashed our teeth enough about 2 consecutive losses and the loss of the Broncos and the probable end of the AFC West Division championship streak, and now the threat to a playoff berth that exists if the Kansas City Chiefs do not get their act together, or whatever your preferred euphemism for getting one's act together may be. There are 7 games left. It would be nice if the Chiefs would win them all. If they win them all, they don't have to worry about anything. They'll make the playoffs if they win them all. But can't win them all unless you win the first. And the first, I would say, is the hardest one left, because it is the best team left, because it is the Indianapolis Colts, who, a little bit out of nowhere, are 8-2 this season. Now, you may recall one particularly handsome and intelligent member of the 580 Sports Talk crew, and it doesn't matter who, but it was me, predicted that the Colts were going to win the AFC South this year. Some of us saw this coming, but not this. I got to be honest. I got to level with you people. I thought they could win it with like 9 wins. I thought 9-8 was winning the division. The Colts could walk out of Arrowhead 9-2 if they defeat the Chiefs on Sunday. Now, that is not what the betting markets think is likely to happen. The Chiefs remain 3.5 point favorites, depending on where you look. It's not what the probability models, the statistical models would suggest is going to happen either, but it's a very real chance. I think even the most optimistic Chiefs fan would acknowledge that the Colts could win this game. And I'll get to the pessimist view of this matchup in just a little bit on the other side of our first break. But I want to start with the optimistic view, because we have been down, we have been sour, we have been disappointed in, discouraged by the Kansas City Chiefs. Got to bury the past and look with optimism towards the near future. So that's what we'll choose to do, at least to start. 3 reasons I can give you to be optimistic about the Chiefs' chances against the Colts on Sunday. And the first one is intangible. It is championship DNA, and these Chiefs still have it. I don't know why we saw the effort we saw against the Broncos. There are a lot of things you can point to and a lot of things you can blame it on. Complacency, sloppiness, things that are tangible, things that are not, that you can point to and say, if that had been different, Chiefs could win that game. Because again, this is what we keep coming back to. As much as you want to look at the Chiefs and say, oh, this is it. They're just not the same team. They're not any good. This is their downfall. They're not going to make the playoffs. Anything you've heard from the quote-unquote haters out there probably in the last 3-4 days, every statistical measure and advanced statistical measure would tell you, nah, man, the Chiefs are really good. And losing by 3 on the road on a last-second field goal, despite all the problems that the Chiefs had, tells you that there is a pretty high floor for this team's performance. It just so happens that has resulted in more losses this year than it has in previous years. The Chiefs were able last year to play poorly, to be undisciplined at times, and get away with it. And they're not getting away with it this year. Which, again, the quote-unquote haters said that they would keep getting away with it. And, well, they appear, at least for the first 10 games, 11 weeks of this 2025 season, to have been correct on that measure. But this is still the Kansas City Chiefs, guys. This is still the 3-time defending AFC champs. This is still Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. This is still Creed Humphrey and Nick Bolton and Trent McDuffie. This is still Andy Reid and Matt Nagy and Steve Spagnuolo. This is still a team with championship DNA. And as much as I am surprised still and discouraged still by the fact that the Chiefs did not rise to the occasion in the Denver game last Sunday. I must also point to earlier examples this same season with these same guys of them rising to the occasion in games where it felt like a win was most necessary. At the Giants, home against the Ravens, home against the Lions. And no small thing, too, that this game is at home. The Denver environment was off the charts on Sunday. That's still one of the, it's not what it used to be. And even Bronco fans will admit that to you. It is not the South stands of old. It is not the old place. It does not echo. It does not reverberate. It does not carry the weight of the old Mile High Stadium. But that is still a tough as hell place to go and play 60 minutes of football and come out on the winning end. And so is Buffalo. And those were the last two road games in environments for the Chiefs, and not environments they've never won in, but difficult environments. Environments that might have been worth a possession or two in those games. Now you have the comfort of being at home. Now you have the crowd on your side, knowing how important this game is. I expect Arrowhead to be rocking. I expect by the time Sunday noon rolls around, everybody will have forgotten about Denver. Everybody will be ready in that building to rock and roll because it's been a good long time since the Chiefs played at home. So that is my anticipation, that the championship DNA of this team combined with the DNA of that stadium at the Truman Sports Complex will show up and will impact Sunday's game. That is perhaps my greatest reason for optimism, even though you guys know I'm a numbers guy. Intangibly, I feel good about this Chiefs team going into Sunday. Part the second, the Chiefs as a whole do not tend to give up a lot of chunk runs on defense. They haven't been a spectacular rushing defense this year. That is true. But when it comes to giving up the explosive running plays, you know, the plays that the Colts have really built a lot of their offensive success around this year, the Chiefs have done well to limit those this season. That is where the Colts have been so outstanding this season. Getting the ball to Jonathan Taylor, getting out of his way. Jonathan Taylor's been remarkable, right? Like, he's been really, really good. And they are a team that wants to generate explosive running plays. The Chiefs do well to limit explosives. They're about middle of the pack when it comes to explosive plays all the way around. And they do better against the run than they do against the pass. So the trick for the Chiefs on Sunday defensively, you don't stop Jonathan Taylor. You just stop him from getting first downs. You stop him from moving the chains all by himself. Comes in averaging 6 yards a carry. It's best in the league for a guy who has carried the ball 189 times. It's pretty impressive. He's having one of the great running back years of recent vintage. You could keep that number to 4, 4.5. And again, the Chiefs have done fairly well to limit opposing rushing attacks. They are keeping their opponents this year to just 4.2 yards per run. They can do that with Jonathan Taylor. They can keep him around 4 yards per carry, and they can keep him away from those 15, 20, 25-yard runs. The Chiefs will be in good shape, I think, because the more plays it takes you to move down the field, the more of a chance there is that you're going to make a mistake, particularly when your quarterback is Daniel Jones. And after a start to this season, as we segue into my third reason for optimism for Sunday, No, we started this season with the Colts not turning the ball over and Daniel Jones not turning the ball over. And, oh, wow, maybe old Danny Dimes has turned over a new leaf. Well, no, as the 6-turnover game against the Steelers would attest, and 2 more turnovers in the game against Atlanta that went to overtime. The early turnover avoidance of Daniel Jones was a bit of fool's gold. He's up to 7 interceptions in 10 games, which is about what you would expect from him. Put the game in his hands, make him make decisions, get his feet happy and his decision-making process rattled, and the Chiefs will have opportunities to turn the Colts over. They will have those opportunities because Daniel Jones will give them to them. You don't want 7, 8-play drives for the Colts that get down in the red zone, because that probably means there were explosive runs from Jonathan Taylor. You want them having to take 10, 11 plays if they're going to go score, because that would be 4 more snaps, 4 more opportunities for somebody to make a mistake. And Daniel Jones is the more likely quarterback in this matchup to make a mistake. So that's why I'm optimistic. That's my basis for optimism. I'll give you 3 reasons why I'm a little worried about Sunday when we come back from this break. We've also got Rick Peterson at TopSports.news this hour to talk local sports. Later on in the show, we're going to hear from Nagy and Steve Spagnuolo. We're going to hear from the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. So plenty of Chiefs talk on the program today. Plus your comments, 785-272-9429 on the text line or in the live chat on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk. It is 3:28. We're just getting started on this Thursday edition of 580 Sports Talk. 3:31 on 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for being here on this Thursday. Welcome, everybody watching on the YouTube. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. John asking if I'm growing out my beard for the winter. I've had a kiddo under the weather, so I've had time to shave. I was Mr. Mom today. Let's just say opportunities for show prep were limited today. It's a good day to have two great interview guests, and Steve Spagnuolo and Matt Nagy, because I had to be daddy for today. Asher's a little under the weather, so if I look a little scraggly, a little haggard, perhaps. First, please don't say I look haggard. That would be mean. Please be nice, but it would also not really be inaccurate at this stage. Another question from the 785 pertaining to the Chiefs and their matchup with the Colts on Sunday. Do you think the Chiefs will implement a run game this week? Something interesting about the Chiefs against defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Speaking of Lou Anarumo, if I'm giving you my reasons for pessimism about the Chiefs on Sunday, I gave you my reasons for optimism. Championship DNA and a home crowd, they kind of combine the intangible stuff, is one reason. Chiefs do a pretty good job of limiting the kind of chunk runs that the Colts offense thrives on getting. And if they limit those, more chances for Daniel Jones to make mistakes. But if I have concerns, if I am pessimistic about three things, one of them is it is Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts, who has famously given Patrick Mahomes a bit of a hard time. Now, maybe that's overstated because of what happened in the second half and overtime of the AFC Championship game in 2021. That's gone a long way towards burnishing Anarumo's reputation as the Mahomes whisperer or the Mahomes stopper. But here's something interesting. I'm going to throw 5 numbers out at you. 155, 42, 138, 132, 149. Those are the rushing yardage totals for the Chiefs against Lou Anarumo Cincinnati Bengals defenses with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. 5 regular season matchups, or 5 total matchups. You obviously had the I'm missing a conference championship game. I didn't pull them all up. My bad. Let me pull up the second conference championship game. Or no, maybe I did. Maybe the one the Chiefs won, that was where they rushed for 42 yards. The one the Chiefs lost, they rushed for 139 yards. So that's another impressive total. If you look at it's 6 meetings between the Chiefs and the Bengals, and they've split 3-3. And in those games, the Chiefs have had real success running the ball at Lou Anarumo's defense. So something to consider, certainly. Isaiah Pacheco went through practice again today. He's got a giant brace on his knee. It looks like that brace Meghan Trainor is trying to put on Patrick Mahomes' arm in that State Farm commercial. That commercial's funny, by the way. I don't care. I think Meghan Trainor's line reads are very good. I laugh when she says, he does sports. That makes me laugh. I'm sorry. I'm not made of stone. I know everybody in the world is annoyed by Patrick Mahomes' State Farm commercials, but that one is funny to me. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Anyway, so those rushing totals suggest that there might be a way forward for the Chiefs that is committing to the run. If Anarumo's defensive game plan is so concerned with taking the deep ball away from Mahomes. That was the whole thing, right? In that AFC Championship game loss. Oh, we're going to play 2 high safeties. We're going to take it away. We're going to take away the deep ball. If that's how they're going to play, then yeah, there'll be some opportunities to run the football. But should also be noted that the secondary for the Colts will be at ramming speed with Sauce Gardner, Kenny Moore, and a healthy Charvarius Ward in the lineup on Sunday. You do that, you're maybe a little less concerned about where your safeties are lining up to take away the deep ball. You trust your man coverage a little bit more. You bring those safeties up a little bit. So remains to be seen, but I think that is an interesting statistical trend. But yeah, Anarumo has shown that he can throw out a game plan that gives Mahomes some grief. And asking the Chiefs to commit to the run game is obviously asking a lot. Do I think it's possible? Yeah, given history, sure, I think it's possible. But more likely, Chiefs are going to try to win this on Mahomes' arm. Never a bad choice, but Anarumo's had his number in the past. So that's one reason for concern. My other reason for concern, my second reason, I talked about Daniel Jones being the kind of guy who will make a turnover caliber play. Well, the Chiefs don't force turnovers. It's 2 years in a row they've had a problem forcing turnovers. They've only forced 9 this season. This would be a great week to force 3 or 4 turnovers. It'd be a really good week to do that. But we haven't seen this defense really do that consistently. Even just one turnover a week could be nice. They just don't do that as a general rule. And then the third reason for pessimism is, if I needed to underline this, the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks. Are we really seeing a team that is just starting to fade? Like, they're, again, like the analogy I used yesterday, reaching back for a 100-mile-an-hour fastball only to discover you can only get to 95. Because I don't know, 95 is good enough to beat the Colts if you don't force turnovers. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to switch gears to local sports with the great Rick Peterson of TopSports.news. We'll get back into the Chiefs later on in the show here from Matt Nagy, Steve Spagnuolo, and at 5:25, my chat with the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. But Pistol is next here on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Rick Peterson of TopSports.news, covering all things Shawnee County High School sports and the Washburn Ichabods. Make it a part of your daily read if you're in this area. TopSports.news. TopSports.news. We welcome in Pistol for the local sports spotlight every Thursday at this time. And Pistol, we got to start with the Washburn Ichabods because they reopened Lee Arena last night. And we'll get to the game itself, an 85-81 win for the Ichabod men over Rockhurst in a bit. But first, your impressions on the new and remodeled and improved Lee Arena.
Very, very nice. I think they're really gonna, enjoy it in there, and I think it's loud in there. You seem to be a more compact with the crowd, and I think it's going to be a great home for them.
Where are they sitting you? You down by Brendan on the press table?
I'm right next to Brendan.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Yep. Was it a little darker in there? Watching some of the video highlights from last night's game, and it seemed like they kind of did the old Staples Center Lakers effect, where they sort of brighten the court, but the area behind is a little darker. Did they maybe darken it a bit?
It did seem a little. Yeah, I think you're right. The court itself is very well lit, but it did seem a little darker. I didn't know if that was the lighting or just my age, but but yeah, it did. But it was great. I mean, the court was very lit, and I think it's going to be good.
It was it's a great looking venue and a great crowd last night. They almost saw Washburn's first loss of the season. Ichabods had to dig that one out of the dirt. They were trailing late before Bryson Smith got hot, went on a personal 7-0 run to help Washburn get back ahead. They see it out from the free throw line, an 85-81 win over Rockhurst. I know you talked to Brett Ballard after the game, Pistol. You don't ever want to play a close game. You'd like to win every game by 50 if you could, but you have to learn how to play and win and execute in close games. And these Ichabods, after winning their first four by an average of 31 per game, had the opportunity to play in a close one and learn from the experience.
Well, and that's exactly what Coach Ballard said, that if you learn from a game like that and improve from a game like that, it can really help you. And at some point, you got to be tested, and they hadn't been tested. They were down against Dallas Baptist in the first half, but were right back in the game by halftime. This was 2:29 left, and they're down by 5. So they were really tested and showed that they could win a close one from behind.
And it was Bryson Smith who made the big shots, the senior transfer from Northeastern State. Notably not the first team All-MIAA point guard Jack Batchelor. Notably not the team's second leading scorer coming in, Dylan Clausen. And I think that goes to show, Pistol, and I think you would agree that when you've got maybe your fourth option offensively who can carry you like that down the stretch, that says a lot about your depth and the quality of your starting five.
Yeah, and they got some really good newcomers that I saw for the first time last night, including Bryson. And I think they're really going to help them. I mean, this team, when they're playing well, looks a lot like the team from last year. And that's very, very good.
Rick Peterson is our guest, joining us for the local sports spotlight here on 580 Sports Talk on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Staying with the Bods, Washburn football ended their regular season last Saturday with a come-from-behind late win over Missouri Southern. And I know it wasn't the season that anybody envisioned for the Ichabods in Zach Watkins' first year as the head coach. They finish up 3-8. But how important was that win, and a win in a close game, which for the last 2 years really haven't gone Washburn's way, in terms of momentum and belief and a foundation for the program to build upon as they move into finishing up the recruiting class and move into the spring and next season?
Yeah, they'll have a full off season to get ready for next year. They've got a ton of really good underclassmen coming back, and it just helps. I mean, winning always helps. Helps you build, and it also got a little bit of the bad taste out of their mouth, because you mentioned it. I mean, they had 3, 4, 5 games that they could have won, and didn't. And like Zach said, I mean, we've lost these all year, so it was really good for them to get one.
Washburn volleyball getting ready to gear up for the MIAA tournament. They claimed a share of the league championship with a pair of wins last week. So they are MIAA regular season champions as they go into the MIAA postseason tournament and then into Central Region play in the NCAA tournament. How far a run do you think this team can make? We've seen Chris Herron take teams to the Final Four in recent vintage. Does this team have that kind of goods?
Well, they're capable of making a run, but it's a really, really tough conference tournament. We were talking, Chris and I were talking on Wednesday, and, there's legitimately 6 teams that can win this tournament, 6 teams with at least 20 wins that have a chance to win this tournament. And Washburn gets a really tough, they should be playing right now. And they get a really tough opening game in a number 6 seed Central Missouri team that's got 21 wins, I believe. So they it's going to be tough, but I think they got the talent to do it. They lost a really key player in Alex DeVork to injury, but they seem to have regrouped and are playing well.
They are, in fact, playing right now. They lead in the first set over Central Missouri 22-17, according to the live stats that I just pulled up on the screen here next to me. Rick Peterson of TopSports.news, our guest here for the local sports spotlight. Let's shift to football. 2 Shawnee County teams carrying the banner into the sub-state round. We'll start with the Hayden Wildcats. Winners over Jeff West last Friday night. A game that started looking like another blowout for the Wildcats over the Tigers, but Jeff West hung tough, got within a score late. Hayden put the game away. We talked about this in the context of Washburn basketball earlier, but how good was it, do you think, for Hayden this late in the season to have a game like that where the outcome was in doubt in the second half, which really hasn't been the case very often for Hayden this year?
Yeah, coaches love lessons like that. I'm sure Bill Arnold talked about that a lot going into Monday's practice, and just that we're going to get everybody's best shot, and you got to be ready. Let's be honest. I mean, you take Cade Mitchell out of that lineup, and he didn't play in the second half, and he's a key player on offense, defense, and special teams, and that might have had something to do with it. But they'll be ready to go tomorrow night.
I don't know what you're able to report on the extent of Mitchell's injury, but if he can't go Friday night against an unbeaten Santa Fe Trail team, who do you think then is the most important Wildcat, Hayden Wildcat, that has to step up if Mitchell cannot play?
Well, Mason Becker stepped in last week and had a really good game, and he's a very good athlete, multifaceted athlete. And Jude Krentz will probably get more carries. Jackson McGivern will get more carries. And I do not know what Cade's situation is. I know he's a tough kid, and if he can possibly be out there, he will.
Over in Class 1A, Rossville went down to Pittsburgh and survived a late comeback attempt from St. Mary's Colgan in a 27-20 victory in their sectional game. So they move on to a sub-state rematch with Jackson Heights, who they played and memorably rallied to beat in last year's sectional. Obviously, 2 different teams this season, but I would imagine that given their recent run of form and given the way they won last year against the Cobras, this Rossville team has to be coming in feeling very confident, just riding a high generally.
Oh, I think they are. But I'm also thinking the Cobras are, feel like they got a score to settle because they had that game in hand and just got stunned on their home field. So you can look at it 2 ways. But Derek Thomas's teams are always ready for postseason. They got a bunch of plaques up there that show you that.
The ability, again, to win close, because early in the year, there were some close games for Rossville, but they rolled right through their district, and they'd been fairly untested in the first couple of rounds of the 1A playoffs. For them to go on the road and get a win like that just kind of shows you the championship DNA of that program?
Yeah, and Colgan's a very good program. So to be able to beat them in Pittsburgh, I think is very good. I think it's been a while, but Rossville got tested early in the season. by Silver Lake, and then particularly by Nemaha Central. And that was their lone loss. And I think, we talk about learning new lessons. I think they learned from that and then really caught fire since then.
Rick Peterson covers local high school sports and the Washburn Ichabods. Just saw the corner of my eye, Washburn, a 25-17 opening set win over Central Missouri in the first round of the MIAA volleyball tournament. So pass that along, keep people informed. So distracted momentarily, but don't get distracted and miss out on the great coverage of the Ichabods and local high school sports over at TopSports.news, including, Pistol, did I hallucinate? Or did I see girls basketball players to watch on the website earlier today?
You did. You did see that. It's time to get going, Dan.
It is.
Before long, we'll be playing.
Oh, I know it. Next week, not only will we be previewing, next time we get a chance to talk to you, we'll try to do something next week before the Thanksgiving holiday. But then beyond that, there are games the week after Thanksgiving. There are Tuesday games the week after Thanksgiving. Basketball hits the ground running with the expanded schedule this year.
Yes. So, I'm not sure I'm ready, but nobody asked me if I was ready.
Hey, listen, I am in no condition to go play basketball, but I will be there when they start playing the games, and I know you will too. Rick Peterson of TopSports.news joining us for the local sports spotlight. Always a pleasure, Pistol. We'll do it again next week.
You betcha.
That is Rick Peterson. We'll take a timeout, come back, and wrap up this 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. All right, thanks again to Rick Peterson at TopSports.news for joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Pistol will have you covered for sub-state football action, Washburn volleyball, the MIAA tournament, Washburn basketball this weekend. Women at home for a pair Friday and Saturday as part of a Central Region Challenge. Ichabod men are in action Saturday afternoon. They go out to Liberty, Missouri to take on William Jewell. I wonder if they hate it when we call it Billy Jewell. I bet they do. You put your name on a college and then people shorten it. The shorthand that we refer to it, not out of disrespect, just I think Billy Jewell sounds like rolls off the tongue. Sounds like Billy Joel. Makes you think of like the scenes from Italian Restaurant or something. You guys know I'm no fan of Piano Man. That's probably my second least favorite song. To throw some suspense into 580 Sports Talk Idol, that's probably what I'll just have y'all do, is I'll have you vote which song you want to hear me sing the most. My Maria by Brooks and Dunn or Piano Man by Billy Joel, because I hate both of those songs. But I respect the rest of Billy Joel's catalog. He's got great songs. Come on, you may be right. Come on. So we always call it Billy Joel, but it's William Jewell. That's who Washburn plays on Saturday afternoon. That's Washburn basketball action for the weekend hand. And as we mentioned on the program, over at TopSports.news today, area girls basketball players to watch, because the basketball season, folks, gets underway December 2nd. There is an expanded high school basketball schedule this year. Teams are now able to play as many as 23 regular season games. That's an additional 3 from the previous 20 that you were limited to. So we've got a lot of games. There's some weird games on the calendar. There's some Thursday nights. There's some Wednesdays and Mondays that weren't typically there before. Additional tournaments that are out there. Our coverage of 580 Preps high school basketball begins December 2nd, Tuesday night, when the Seaman Vikings and Lady Vikes welcome Piper to the Viking Gymnasium. We'll have the coverage that Tuesday night for Tuesday Night Hoops, our first Friday night game of the week. Topeka West hosting DeSoto, December 5th. We'll get that full schedule out to you on our social media channels before Thanksgiving. We had a rollout planned, and then some things blew up the rollout a little bit. But we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll have Pigskin and Hoops previews for all our area basketball teams on the website, 580WIBW.com. Keep your eyes peeled for that. When we come back, the Big 12 football want-to meter. Plus, hear from Nagy and Spags and what is wrong with you next hour. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Thursday afternoon. Après le deluge. I don't know French. I should have got Brendan in to do that. Brendan's our guy who knows French. Before the rain is what I was trying to say. Rain in the forecast tonight and tomorrow. I'm staying dry either way. I'm in the studio. My name's Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis will be around in a bit. Brendan Worzinski is off today. This is 580 Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on video, our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. And I promise I will only struggle with the English language moving forward, rather than struggle with a language that I'm not a native speaker of. Join us in the live chat if you are watching on YouTube today, 580 Sports Talk. And if you're not watching us on YouTube, watch us on YouTube and join us in the live chat. It's a good time. We were posting our favorite Billy Joel songs at the top of the hour break. This is a fun way to keep the conversation moving, even as we pay a few bills and keep the people informed. Those top of the hour breaks. My pick, Moving Out. That's my favorite Billy Joel songs, Moving Out. Is it obnoxious? Sure. Does it bop? Absolutely. Moving Out's my pick. You may have a different opinion, but if you do, share it on the text line, 785-272-9429, or in the live chat on YouTube. I'm going to have to dig out, see if we've got any Billy Joel bumps we can use the rest of the show. Since Washburn's playing William Jewell, in men's basketball on Saturday. Anyway, that's how we got there, right? We have fun. We like to have fun around here. Coming up this hour, 580 Sports Talk, we got 2 new stories competing on What Is Wrong With You, including a story that might come uncomfortably close to breaking rule number 1 of What Is Wrong With You. Rule number 1, of course, is nobody can die. And this story does not involve somebody dying, but it does involve a convicted murderer. So we'll commune on it. We'll decide whether or not it's an allowable story. Because I think if it passes muster, I think it's a pretty funny story. As funny as a story can be that involves a convicted murderer. But I don't think that the violation of Rule 1 is germane to the story. So, by the way, we do appreciate and we see your submissions on the text line to What Is Wrong With You. We've had people submit a couple of stories in the past couple of days to our text line, 785-272-9429. We had one submitted, a guy tried to be like a snake and swallow a hamburger whole without chewing, and he's in the hospital fighting for his life. And the reason we haven't done that story is he could die. And we don't want to have to double back and be like, oh, yeah, remember that story we all thought was hilarious? Yeah, that guy died. He died. So, yeah, that's the reason we haven't done the guy from, he's from a different country, I think, maybe Canada or something like that. Yeah, tried to eat a hamburger without swallowing, and it might kill him. So, lesson learned, folks. We're an educational program. Lesson learned. Don't do that. Chew your food. But anyway, we'll have 2 stories on What Is Wrong With You coming up. We'll also hear from the Chiefs offensive and defensive coordinators, Matt Nagy and Steve Spagnuolo. We always play Spags first because he goes to the podium first. I'm going to switch up the order today. We'll hear from Nagy first, and then we'll play the Spagnuolo audio. But I think especially coming off of that performance against Denver, it's interesting to hear from the players and hear from the coaches as what I'm looking for, and what I think you have to be looking for from the Chiefs moving forward, is a sense of urgency and accountability that has seemed lacking over the last 2 losses. So we're going to hear from Nagy. We're going to hear from Spagnuolo here in a little bit. And, of course, still coming at 5 o'clock hour, you won't want to miss our weekly chat with the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. He joins us at 5:25. Thanks to our friends from Hy-Vee and Azure Credit Union. We'll get Mitch's take on Sunday's matchup with the Indianapolis Colts. Of course, we'll also have headlines. We'll get to some of the headlines today, including the participation report. Daniel Jones popped up on the injury report today for the Colts. Typically, if you were not on the injury report on Wednesday and you end up on the injury report on Thursday, that means you got hurt in practice. Something to keep an eye on. Anyway, we'll get to that. More headlines, of course, in the 5 o'clock hour. And one more time, that reminder that you can interact with the show on our YouTube live chat. The name of the channel, 580 Sports Talk. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also text the program, 785-278, or 278, no, 785-272-9429. 278, man, I don't even know what that is, man. I'll be honest with you. 272-9429 is the text line number. I've been taking care of a sick kid for the last 24 hours. My brain is, my egg is scrambled, brother. Let me tell you what. That is not a fun thing to do. Anyhow, submission for We Didn't Start the Fire from both the text line and the YouTube chat as favorite Billy Joel song. Definitely had some novelty appeal. I can tell you that would have been 8-year-old Dan's answer to a favorite Billy Joel song. Was We Didn't Start the Fire. What was the name of that album? Was it Stormfront? Was that Stormfront? Because that had, oh my gosh, that had Downeaster Alexa on it. Had a couple of, my parents had that on cassette. Okay, so I had access to that one. I could play that album, and I liked it. 8-year-old, 9-year-old Dan was digging the Stormfront album by Billy Joel, for sure. Anywho, been thinking a lot about the hierarchy of the Big 12 conference this season, which has been significantly disrupted. Let me back up. We weren't really sure what the hierarchy of the Big 12 was going to look like when the league became a 16-team league going into last year. But I bet if you went back and listened to old 580 Sports Talk episodes, I would bet that we tackled this quandary and tried to figure out, okay, who are the lead dogs in this conference going to be? Who are the teams that are going to pull the rope, lead from the front, always come into the year feeling like conference contenders? And I think we would have landed on the following schools: Utah, Kansas State, Oklahoma State. I think we would have felt, especially with the team it looked like Oklahoma State had on paper last year, which obviously it was not a good team at all, in fact, but they were picked to finish very high in the Big 12 last season. It felt like those are the programs that entered the new Big 12 on the sturdiest ground with the best idea of their identity and the most overall consistency. Maybe a better way to say it would be the least volatility and a proven ability to compete at the top of the league, whatever league that may have been. So I think that was a reasonable list of teams. If you're trying to keep the list small and say, okay, who are the programs that are going to lead from the front in the new Big 12? I'm pretty sure those were the three that I came up with. And I'm saying that now because obviously that looks and sounds ridiculous. So you can trust me when I say those were the three programs I kind of felt like were going to be the example, the leaders in the new Big 12. Utah, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. No. It's a short answer. No, that's not really how it's happened. Utah certainly has bounced back this year. Oklahoma State has not. Kansas State going to scrap to make a bowl this year. So it hasn't been a great first 2 years in the new league for those programs. Instead, our league champions for the first 2 years, last year was Arizona State. This year, it looks like it's either going to be Texas Tech or BYU. We've seen that game already. We saw what it looked like. Texas Tech is streets ahead of the rest of the league right now, and they are there because of a substantial investment into players, not just facilities. Like that used to be the whole thing. Like, you're going to invest in winning. You're going to invest in facilities. You're going to clean your stadium up, newer locker rooms, better weight room. You're going to hire the best coach. You're going to hire the best offensive coordinator. Those are the things you're going to do. That was before NIL brought about something like, NIL and the change in the transfer rules brought about something like free agency to college sports. And then the focus was where it probably should have been all along. Well, we got all this money that we want to spend to make our program the best it can be. Why don't we just give it to the kids? Why don't we just give it to the players? Why don't we just splashing on the labor. Texas Tech this year has done it the most effectively and the most notably of any Big 12 team. Colorado obviously has done it notably, but not necessarily successfully. So I have said consistently on this show, it's one of my hobby horses when it comes to talking about college football. How good you are in college football starts with the most important factor in it. How bad do you want to be good? What's your level of want to? Because it's not just enough to have proximity to the best players. It doesn't hurt. It's why the SEC has been so good. Because they have access to the best players. The best high school players in America are in Texas and the American Southeast. Fact. What schools are down there? SEC schools. That's why the SEC has dominated college football the way that it has. And that matters, and your brand matters, and yes, your facilities matter, and who your coaches matter. All those things matter. But I think, honestly, the thing that matters the most, the thing that leads to how do you get that talent to play for you? How do you get that coach to come to your sideline? It's all about want to. How badly do you want to be good? And how capable are you of spending to the level of your own expectations and your own aspirations as a program? Because I think it's one thing to want to be good. I think there are a lot of programs in the Big 12 that have a desire to be excellent at football, to be a college football playoff team, perhaps perennially or close enough to it. I think there are more than a handful of programs in the Big 12 that would say that. But not all of them can. There's want to and can do. And when the two mix, well, that's where you have Texas Tech this year. They're at the top of what I call the want to meter right now in the Big 12. Not only do they want it bad, they have the money to execute the vision. Cody Campbell has the money to execute the vision. Let's just say it. They've got a sugar daddy. I'm sure there are other wealthy Texas Tech alumni who have sunk some money into the program. In fact, there was a study done that 24/7 Sports put out a story about late last year. So the numbers are not up to date. In fact, even for a story written in 2024, the numbers were only through 2022, but they were from 2005 to 2022, and it measured the amount of athletic department donations made to public Division I schools, which meant BYU, TCU, Baylor, not a part of it, not public schools. But of the public Big 12 schools, in that 17-year time frame, the school that had received the most athletic department donations, the largest amount of money donated to athletics, and the sixth most of any Division I public institution, was Oklahoma State. And that's because T. Boone Pickens was alive for a lot of that time frame, right? So that makes sense, right? Like you think of Money Man, T. Boone was the sugar daddy of sugar daddies there in the Big 12 for a good while. After that, this is where the list gets interesting. 19th on the list and second most among current Big 12 schools and only the top 50 were published. So there are some schools outside the top 50, UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, and Utah. And that makes sense given that for the better part of that time frame, or in the case of UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston, for that entire time frame, they were mid-majors. They were not Power 4, Power 5 institutions. Utah was only a Power 5 institution for about half of that time frame. But Kansas ranked 19th, second highest among current Big 12 schools when it came to athletic department donations from 2005 to 2022. Third most was Texas Tech, 23rd overall. Then West Virginia, 27th overall. Then Arizona, 29th. Kansas State tied for 33rd. Arizona State, 40th. Iowa State, 41st. Colorado, 46th. And honestly, that all sounds about right. Because what it's measuring here is very simply how much money are your donors, your big money donors for your learning institution, writing to the athletic department? What do those checks look like? And yeah, obviously Oklahoma State was going to rank at the top of the pops for that time frame because T. Boone Pickens just wanted to have a good football team and a beautiful stadium, and they did. Kansas being second tells you that there's some financial might for the school in Lawrence, but also a lot of that went to basketball, right? So when it comes to the want-to meter, which is the crux of the conversation here, Texas Tech exists on its own tier. They want it bad, and they have the money. The second tier is we want it bad, but we also want it bad in basketball. That's the second tier, where David Booth cut off a $200 million check before this football season began to the University of Kansas. And some of that's going to go to football facilities, and absolutely some of that's going to go to football NIL. Basketball NIL is going to get a piece of that too. So there's that consideration for Kansas. And I would argue Houston. I don't know if you all realize that there is a significant amount of want-to for Houston athletics to be really, really good. Maybe you see that manifested more on the hard court, on the hardwood, than the gridiron right now. But there's a lot of want-to at Houston. And I think really they've got as much want-to as anybody in the conference. But it is like Kansas, where that want-to is, we also understand where our bread is buttered historically, that we are one of a handful of Power 4 programs where the front porch is basketball. That is the case for Kansas, and probably always will be. And that's not a knock on football or a suggestion that football can never achieve greatness. I was alive for the Orange Bowl in 2007. I know that Kansas is capable of being a top-ranked team in the country. Whether it's capable of being that consistently, I don't know, but I know what the heights look like. I was alive for that. But basketball is always going to be the front porch there, just like basketball is always going to be the front porch at Duke or North Carolina or UCLA. Indiana is kind of an interesting conversation these days. But Houston is one of those schools too. Even as it moves up into the Power 4, even as it has a good football season, best football season as a Power 4 institution this year, ranked in the fringes of the top 25 this season, basketball is always going to be where their bread is buttered. And so that impacts, okay, we're getting this money to our athletic department, can't all be for the football. We got to hold some back for the hoops. The biggest tier in the 1-2 meter is we want it bad, but we have a little less money. And naturally, you're going to find a lot of those schools here in the Big 12 because that's just the fiscal reality of the Big 12 schools, where their donors come from, how many multi-million/billion-dollar donors these institutions have. Like, there's a billionaire donating money to Kansas State. They're not like a bunch. So Kansas State's on that tier, right? I think they want to be great at everything. I think they want to be great at football, primarily. Football's the front porch at Kansas State. But they ain't got it like Tech's got it, right? Iowa State, same tier. Utah, same tier. Oklahoma State is interesting because they may not even have it right now like Kansas State and Iowa State do. Because T. Boone Pickens has been deceased. And there's only but so much money for the foundation to donate, right? Now, there are some rumors out there that Oklahoma State's very willing to spend handsomely and redo their football infrastructure for whoever their next coach is going to be. Maybe they belong in their own tier. We want it bad, but we forgot how. We want it bad, but we've kind of forgotten how. Maybe them and West Virginia belong in that tier because West Virginia, I mean, that's the state school there. And I think there's a lot of want-to. There's a lot of desire at West Virginia. There's some economic realities about the state of West Virginia that are inhibitors to being able to attract the kind of donations that are going to get you spending like Tech has spent this year. The Arizona schools belong in the we're not sure how bad we want it class. Arizona is another school where you could argue that basketball is the front porch of the athletic department. And Arizona State, is an open question. How badly do they want to be good? I think we're going to find out this offseason. If Sam Levitt's really sniffing around the portal, if bigger programs are sniffing around Kenny Dillingham, can they come up with the money to keep those guys? I think we're going to find out about the 1-2 of Arizona State. There's are we sure we have the money class? That's Colorado and Cincinnati. Just don't think those are ever going to be the kinds of athletic departments that are going to bring in the kind of donations and bring in the kind of NIL pledges of their Big 12 brethren. I think they're always going to be fighting a little bit from behind. And a problem that will exacerbate itself for Colorado when the Coach Prime show ends, whenever that is. Dion, very defiant in his press conference, I think it was yesterday, said, I'm not going anywhere. Colorado has the right guy. I don't know that that's true. I also don't know that that means the hiring of Deion Sanders. In fact, I would call it a rousing success. Honest to goodness. I think the hiring of Deion Sanders worked for Colorado, even if they don't win another game the rest of the year and Deion Sanders resigned at the end of the season. I would still call it an unqualified success for Colorado because they got back on the map. They got people talking about them, and they had one spectacular season and a Heisman Trophy winner, which is more fun than that program has given its fans and alumni for years. Unqualified success. I mean, sticks around and continues to go 3-9 out of stubbornness, vanity, whatever you want to call it. And maybe we have a different conversation if there's another year or two of this. But right now, if it ended in 2 weeks, unqualified success for Colorado. But that still doesn't mean they're going to bring in the kind of money or the kind of facility upgrades that are going to take Colorado from kind of what its station is in college football to something beyond that, to something where I just don't see that program being able to ever get to a point where they're a perennial contender in the Big 12. And the last tier is the probably more want to and money than you think class. I'm so fascinated what it becomes at UCF. Y'all know how big that school is? UCF is massive. The University of Central Florida has, as of fall of 2024, nearly 70,000 undergrads. You think it's some commuter school in a resort town, you got another thing coming. There are a ton of people go to UCF. When I was out there, I was just out in that area, Orlando, Lakeland, Tampa area, last 2 weeks ago with Washburn basketball. Driving through Orlando, going to Lakeland, I could not believe how many UCF alumni license plates I saw. And obviously, that's an extremely anecdotal example, but that's a huge school with a lot of alumni. And with Florida and Florida State both a little down right now, wonder if UCF senses a bit of a power vacuum in Sunshine State Power 4 football. I wonder. I'm fascinated to see where it goes under Scott Frost. Obviously, they've got a coach they've had great success with prior, all set up. What does their NIL commitment look like moving forward? What kind of checks are they able to write? It's probably, again, not on the level of Tech, which is why they stand all alone. But I think there might be more want to and more money than you think at UCF. They are the shrug of the shoulders case for me. That could go one of two ways for me. But that's the want-to meter, the Big 12 want-to meter. Tech at the top, a middle class that can't quite spend as much. That includes Kansas and Kansas State, along with Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and Iowa State, I think belong in that class. Houston probably too. And then a lot of programs that are going to have trouble keeping up on a year-over-year basis. And for Kansas State and Kansas, by the way, that's not a bad place to be. That's not a bad place to be. But it also probably isn't a place, and I don't think any program in this league is in a place, other than Tech, if they keep writing those big fat checks, where they can say, our expectation every year is to win the Big 12. But if your expectation in your best years is to win the Big 12, that's a good place to be. That's something to aspire to. And that's realistic aspirations, I think, for both Kansas and Kansas State, and for a lot of the league, which is going to make it entertaining moving forward. We're going to take a timeout. We'll come back with What Is Wrong With You next on 580 Sports Talk. It is What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. 2 new stories competing today, and joining us for What Is Wrong With You again, Spencer Dupuis. Hi, Spencer.
That should probably help if I turn the mic
It
on.
generally does. If you'd like to communicate a thought to the audience, it helps to have a hot mic, yes.
It's okay, I've been here almost 12 hours.
Hey, listen, we're all tired. We've got 2 new stories competing with our current weekly champion, the captain and Coke, former police chief in Western Pennsylvania, who allegedly was moving weight, trying to sell some cocaine, also stole a gun from an evidence locker. That's why he's the former chief of police. 2 new stories today. Spencer, I'm going to let you go first with a story they're calling Fork Around and Find Out.
We're going to Tallahassee, Florida. A man is in custody after police say he was involved in an unusual crime spree involving a stolen forklift and an ATM. The Tallahassee Police Department said early Monday morning that the suspect took both items on a joyride through town before attempting to flee from officers. Home surveillance video and body cam footage shows the forklift driver driving down a residential street. What's up, bro? The officer asked him in. What you got going on? I dropped this thing over here. The man pointing into the front of the forklift before sprinting off. After a brief chase, the man was safely apprehended without reported injuries, according to the police department. During a subsequent search of the area, officers recovered clothing items and burglary tools believed to be connected to the incident. Body cam footage captured the arrest, with one officer telling the suspect, "I told you to take a seat." The man responded, "I haven't done anything." Police did not release the identity of the suspect, but say it is committed to protecting the community and holding those who break the law accountable.
He really tried to hit the cops with, "Yo, look over there," and run off in the other direction. It never works. Only in movies and TV. Look like he's trying to get the what's the movie where they steal the ATM? Is that Barbershop?
I don't know.
It's Barbershop where they try to steal the ATM. I think Anthony Anderson is one of the burglars. The great side plot of that. Man, I haven't watched Barbershop in years. What a great movie. Anyway, that is our story there. For my story today, and Spencer, you're going to help me as part of the What Is Wrong With You High Committee. Obviously, rule number 1 is nobody can die in the commission of a What Is Wrong With You story.
Yes.
One of the main characters in this story is a murderer. And I said earlier, a convicted murderer. That's not exactly true. But one of the characters involved killed his wife in 2011. Gentleman's name is Robert Selland. He was ruled in court not guilty by reason of insanity. Spent 10 years in a mental institution, or more than that, was released from a state hospital under conditional release last year, and then was hired by a restaurant in Tacoma, Washington, to play Santa Claus at a swap meet from November through December.
Uh,
Let me be clear. We did not know our Santa Claus was a murderer. That is not a statement you ever want to have to release if you are a business owner.
Yeah.
Julio Garcia Linares, representing the business Taqueria Al Carbone, said, quote, "We didn't know his past. He apologized for any misconceptions. On behalf of my parents who run this establishment, they just want to apologize for any misconceptions. We have basically told him for the time being not to come around until we have a chance to speak to the family, of the person he murdered, who was also his wife." So, yeah, so it's not so much like the What Is Wrong With You is the guy trying to look, he did his time as was adjudicated by the justice system. He is out. He's a free man. That means you are, free to live your life, but maybe you shouldn't hire a guy who killed his wife to play your Santa Claus. Maybe you should do your Googles on your Santa. I think that's the lesson here. I think this stands as a What Is Wrong With You. The murdery part gives me a little ick. I can't, in good conscience, advance it today, but I think it would have been an eligible story and maybe would have advanced on a different day.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, the result is because of what happened, because there was a murderer.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Let me get this.
It's
like that line from the Behind the Laughter Simpsons episode where Homer says, "I thought the cop was a prostitute."
Yeah.
Yeah. We did not know our Santa killed somebody.
Nope.
our bad. Yeah, that's just not a situation you want to be in if you're a business owner. So does the Captain and Coke continue on?
I think so.
Yeah, we'll keep the Captain and Coke moving to tomorrow on What Is Wrong With You. Thanks for coming by, Spence.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.
We'll hear from Nags and Spags next on 580 Sports Talk. .442 on 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for being here. I am Dan Lucero. We're here from the Chiefs coordinators who spoke earlier today in Kansas City. Usually we hear from Steve Spagnuolo first, but I'm switching it up today. We're going to hear from Matt Nagy to start off.
Disappointing the last couple of drives, not getting the first downs. When you look back at it, is it your issues? Did they do something really good?
Not necessarily. I think for us, number one, it's the mindset of you have to be able to finish. And that's what we talked about at the beginning of the week when we went back and reviewed the tape. There's a few things internally that, schematically that we talked through as an offense of what we want to do. And, it's creating that ownership from the coach's side of, okay, what plays are we putting in? What are we running? And then when the play is called, there's a lot that goes into that in that moment of making sure, we have it the right direction or running the right. There's so much stuff that goes in with a route. Is there a conversion? Is there not? Is it there's so many things that go into it. And I think in that moment, when you got to finish the game in 4 minutes, whether it's tie or whether you're winning and, finishing with the ball in your hands is our job, no matter how you do it. We didn't do it, plain and simple. And that's been our focus is, okay, how are we going to get in that situation again and win the game stating the obvious, it hasn't been done much this year, with the 0-5 number that's out there. So we take that serious. We understand that. And we all want to make sure that we're locking in on our jobs.
So much is based on head coach and players, but I guess in these type of situations, how do you see Andy Reid impact your coaching staff to kind of buy into some of the changes that need to be?
Well, he's the best leader in these moments right now. When you get into that, is like, okay, schematically, are we putting our guys in the best positions possible throughout the game? And then when the plays are called and the guys go out there in that moment, are we doing it exactly how it's supposed to be done with the details? Coach Reid, when you talk about day one with Coach Reid and his organization and his team, the number one thing you talk about and you learn as a player and coach is details. That matters. You got to be careful of going over the top with it because you want players to play. But there's reasons why we do things. And I think all of that in that moment throughout the game, that was a big part of it, not finishing the game, but there was much more that goes into it throughout the game to not put us in that scenario.
Matt, just along those lines, the 2 deep overthrows by Patrick on the first series, what did you see on those, and what do you figure is at play when they miss by a tick like that?
Yeah, so we got to hit on those when we throw them. We got to make them connect. And I know we've talked about giving a guy an opportunity. Even sometimes we'll use the phrase, if he's covered, he's uncovered. And so sometimes being able to, give yourself a chance to catch the ball. That's what Pat was upset about with himself, is making sure he gives the guy a chance. On both of those, the overthrows, you just don't have a chance. Love the mentality of what he did. There's 2 other throws in that game where we went downtown and we had a 47-yard defensive pass interference and a 41-yard that's hidden yards that you got to keep that going. But especially early in the game, we want to connect on those.
Is it oversimplifying for him to say, I got to not worry about being too fine? I mean, he was making a point of saying maybe he shouldn't be.
That's probably the easiest way to put it. Yeah, just don't try to be perfect with. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the history of this game. He's super accurate. He can make throws that people can't make. When you're throwing a post alert over the top, which both of those basically were, sometimes just put it in the vicinity and let your guy go make a play. And I think, trust me, right after that series, when we went 4-and-out and punted the ball, no one was more pissed off at himself than Pat on that sideline. He was at himself, so I think that speaks to where he's at.
Matt, when we in a remote defense, what type of challenges are involved with that?
Yeah, a lot. He does a great job. He knows us pretty well, obviously being in Cincinnati. I think he's a phenomenal defensive coordinator, a great person. What a job he's doing right now in Indianapolis. So he presents a lot of different things, gives you different looks. He has a lot of different schemes that on the defensive side that he makes you prepare for. And so we understand that. And I think, for us, just going back to that game we just played, you don't make it real hard. You keep it real simple. Like just play the game, play fast, and stay away from penalties, execution, start fast, finish faster, and good things will happen.
We'll go with Sam in this run.
What stands out to you about just that last sequence? So specifically on 3rd down, it seemed like maybe a tick late getting out of the huddle. Like, does that stuff pop up as you review it?
Not in that situation. There was times throughout the game where maybe there's something, where you run into some issues with substitutions or, if there's a motion in a shift. I feel like we did a pretty good job with getting that set. And in those moments, like, you want to keep things as simple as you can so guys can play fast. But for that play in general, nothing stood out for us with that.
On the blitz there,
yeah,
just not communicated, probably not seen ahead of time.
Are you talking about with the sack?
Yeah, the 3rd down.
Yeah, there's again, it goes into some details without getting into scheme. They did a good job with what they pressured. That was good, and we didn't. They got us. They got us on that one, and just credit to them.
Last one's Rin.
Coach, I know there's a lot of talk about the deep ball, but you don't have a lot of targets, especially for like Rice and Worthy in the intermediate. Mm-hmm. Is that is there a reason you haven't? Is it something you just haven't got to? Is it something you think you could be better at moving forward?
I think we could be better at it for sure. Last year it was so much of not downfield. This year it's more downfield with that aggressive mindset, being able to connect on those. I really don't care what it is. I really don't. For us, the mentality right now is let's make sure that wherever we're at conceptually with the play, if it is intermediate to those guys, which they're good at, let's take advantage of those and let them run after the catch. That's okay. But when we take these investment shots downfield, let's connect on them. And then again, just we're in a place right now where we understand the sense of urgency as a group collectively. We know where we're at. I will make it loud and clear. There's no other people or players around that I would rather be around to go do this thing the right way. And we understand where we stand, and we got to do it. It's like everybody said, you can't talk, you got to do it. That's our mindset. We can only go 1-0 this weekend. And that's it.
See, wasn't it nice to hear from Matt Nagy first? We never hear from Nagy first. Anyway, that was Matt Nagy. Here is defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo.
Look, a little disappointed in the way last week went. It was another of those situations where we would like to find a way to help win the game at the end there. That didn't happen. So we were disappointed there, but we've moved on. In this league, when you get to Wednesday, everybody's the same on Wednesday morning. They're trying to win the next game. So that's what we're kind of focused on doing. So with that, I'll let you fire away, which I know you're gonna. Go ahead.
A lot of attention just on that third and 15.
Yeah.
Just wanted to go through that.
Yeah, I mean, look, they made a better play. Their receiver outworked a corner. We decided to play. We had not played that coverage all game long. And then we were hoping to get a little bit more out of the pass rush. It got a little bit out of whack, and he stepped up and made a good play. So I give them a lot of credit. That was a key down. That was big. I thought we had a chance to get it back to Patrick there.
And active, I guess. What led to that?
Well, we've been trying to get him back out there for a month or whatever it's been. But first it was the health, and then when we finally got over that hurdle, then it was, when Dave and I talked, is he ready mentally? You got to remember, and this is where, and I talked to Christian, he's been in a tough situation. If you guys go all the way back, when we got him in OTAs, he didn't practice a lot. He was hurt. Got to training camp. He was hurt. Then he went through. So he's really a rookie in the system. So there was a couple of weeks there where it was about, does he have it all down now? And that took a little while. And then we got to the bye week and said this might be a time to get him out there. So that's what we did.
Coach, Charvarius Ward coming back, do you expect him to be able to play?
I don't know that. I love Travarius. And when he get was it a concussion or something? Has he been playing since then? Did I? Yeah. And I remember I texted him right after that because I happened to see it on TV. I'm not really sure. He's one of my favorites because he was here and did a lot of good things for us. So I look forward to seeing him. He's going to be the enemy though for 60 minutes. but I like Travarius. He's a good kid.
See more of Christian before than just an evaluation of his performance. He wasn't in some of those third and longs too, especially.
Yeah.
Noel Williams and a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, we can't get everybody out there. There's only we had some packages for Noel. We didn't get to them. And there's only so many corners out there at one time, especially when we didn't play Trent as much in nickel. So we'll see how the reps go this going week. But both of those guys are probably got to play at some point for us. And I thought Christian did a pretty good job. He had that one that I'm sure he would have liked to have back, that long pass play. But we're going to need all these guys down the stretch here.
After went out to the team with a heightened sense of awareness, knowing this running back that you're about ready to face on Sunday.
Yeah. Joe Cullen, we start off with the run meeting in the morning, and, he brought up the point that I always say, we've been faced with this challenge a lot this year, other years. And when our guys as a unit, as a group, put their mind to playing good run defense, I believe we can do that. It's when we get out of whack a little bit and see something that's not there or take a chance here. So hopefully we play good, solid group unit run defense. We're going to need to do that again. And to me, where he's really scary, this running back, is that when he pops it or gets in the second level, we all know what kind of speed he has. And
is there something you can take from your success against when Derrick Henry was maybe at his peak? And
a little bit. I mean, maybe different backs in some regards, but all those guys. I mean, when there's an elite run, it seems like we have more and more of these. But when these elite running backs keep popping up, I mean, the focus is going to be on that first. I just don't believe you can go into a game and not say that that's the primary goal, because if not, and they get two-dimensional, this is an efficient offense. We know that.
Comment after the game about maybe the Broncos knew what you were doing. Did you have a conversation with him about that, or did you feel like you guys were kind of showing what? I
guess the best way to find out if that was true is ask Denver. No, I wasn't aware of that. I don't. Listen, it's like we pick up on things offenses do, and maybe they think they got it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Todd and then Nick.
An assessment of their quarterback, Jones. Looks like he's got some new life there. You guys have faced Steichens teams before at a couple different spots.
Yeah.
What's Jones doing?
I don't know. He looks like he functions really. We've seen this around the league, right? The quarterbacks kind of go from team to team, and all of a sudden they find a scheme or a coaching staff that it really fits, and it feels like they fit the pieces together pretty good there. There's a lot of talent on this offense. We're talking about the running back, but the slot receiver is really good. And let's not forget about this tight end that we're about to face. He's real, and the two wide receivers on the outside. So I think what they've put together is a real good group of talent, solid offensive line, and a quarterback that knows how to play football. I remember when he came out, it's hard to believe it's 7 years already. It feels like it was just yesterday, but I remember him coming out and saying, now there's another athletic quarterback. Now, they don't do as much of that with him, but I think he's got a lot of different ways to beat you, and he looks like a really intelligent quarterback to me.
Steve, with how efficient their run blocking scheme is and how they play action pass off that, what are the challenges of being able to balance?
Yeah, anytime a team matches the play action with the run really well, that's tough. It's toughest on the second level defenders, our safeties and linebackers. And, we always talk about reading high hats and low hats, and we study that. There's a tape that's put together every week. And so hopefully our eyes will be right. And when they throw it, we're playing the pass. And when they run it, we're playing the run. I mean, that would be good defense.
So that was Steve Spagnuolo from earlier today at One Arrowhead Drive. We're going to call it good on this hour of 580 Sports Talk. We got a break to take, pay some bills, hear the news, and come back for the 5 o'clock hour with headlines and the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, coming up on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of this Thursday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for being here. My name is Dan Lucero. Solo dolo for this final hour. So thanks for hanging out on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And on video, our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go like and subscribe. Our Facebook page, WIBW News. Go like and subscribe. I guess you really only like Facebook pages and subscribe to YouTube channels. So just a blanket like and subscribe at the end of that spiel would probably suffice. Like the Facebook page, WIBW News. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. As simple as. Go do that. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. When we get to 900 subscribers, and we were at 866 when we began the show today. So when we get to 900, it's not that far away. It's within reach. We can see it. It's off on the horizon. When we get to 900 subscribers, we will bring you the first ever edition of 580 Sports Talk Idol, where myself and Brendan Dworzinski and Spencer Dupuis will sing for you songs selected by the audience. We will perform, and we will choose a winner. It has to be a little competitive, right? Like when we did arm wrestling, there's a winner and there was a loser. Although, unfortunately, the loser was me. Although I want to point out, the loser was me in a thumb wrestling battle that was the tiebreaker. And again, Brendan Dworzinski's long levers, the long limb advantage that Brendan has, really came into play there more so than it did in the arm wrestling. So I was at a disadvantage. But we'll bring a competitive element to 580 Sports Talk Idol as well. So go, again, subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. If you are watching the show live on YouTube while we broadcast from 3 to 6 every day on 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, hop in the live chat. Say hello. Interact with yours truly, our other hosts, and your fellow audience members as well in the live chat today at 580 Sports Talk. You can also text the program with your questions, your comments, your concerns. 785-272-9429. The number to text, 785-272-9429. Still to come on the final hour of the show today, Mitch Holthus joins us, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Going to check in with us in about 15 minutes or so, a little longer than that. 5:25, we'll talk to Mitch, the voice of the Chiefs. His appearances, of course, brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azure Credit Union. And we'll ask Mitch the question and get the answer from the perspective of somebody who is around the team every day, every week, knows those guys, knows the coaches. What has to be done for the Chiefs to get right? So that is the question. What has to be done? We wallowed in the what's wrong question of it for a couple of days. Well, now, what do you have to do to fix it? We'll get Mitch's perspective on that and, of course, some nuggets of the night that you'll want to know, and you'll be able to sound smart and impress your friends at the tailgate or at your watch party or just the guy next to you at the bar on Sunday when the Chiefs play the Colts. Stats and bits of information that'll make you sound really, really smart if you pay attention to Mitch Holthus when he joins us every week on 580 Sports Talk. Also want to talk a little bit about the Chiefs and the concept of accountability and why it doesn't feel like the Chiefs have met the standard in that department the way that you have to if you want to be a championship team. So that's all coming up. Again, your text, 785-272-9429. Your YouTube comments, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Let's get to some headlines. We start the 5 o'clock hour every day with our 580 Sports Talk headlines. In case you missed it last night, Lee Arena reopened with a Washburn-Ichabod victory, though the number 2 team in the country certainly had to sing for their supper against the upset-minded Rockhurst Hawks. Rockhurst had a 5-point lead with under 3 minutes to play when Bryson Smith took over for the Ichabods, the senior transfer from Northeastern State, scoring 7 consecutive points to put the Bods in front. Some free throws down the stretch and a clutch steal from Sam Ungashik, helping to seal an 85-81 win in the home opener for the second-ranked Ichabods over Rockhurst last night. I didn't get a chance to get out there dealing with a sick kiddo. Was not really in the studio all day. I was kind of like Chris. Was it the opener or the second game of the year where I think it was the second game of the year against the Eagles this year, where Chris Jones had a family situation, had to attend a funeral, and then got back and got a police escort to the stadium, showed up like an hour and a half before the game, and he was ready to play, and he played. That was kind of me today. Had to do the babysitter thing, had to watch my son, couldn't take him to daycare today, wasn't feeling good. And my wife was able to take off work a little bit early. She got to the house at 2:30, which meant I had until 3:06 to get here. So I did. I made it. No police escort necessary, and got to the show today. So I wasn't there last night, but the photos, the videos, great crowd, great atmosphere. Lee Arena looks beautiful. It is an absolute gem. You're just not going to find better facilities and better crowds for basketball in Division II anywhere you go. You're just not. Washburn is the top of the pops, in my opinion. I can also pass along some glad tidings from the MIAA volleyball tournament, where Washburn has just finished off a 4-set victory over Central Missouri in their first round action. The MIAA co-regular season champion Ichabods winning the first set 25-17, dropped the second set 11-25, but then rallied to win the next two 25-17 and 25-12. Natalie Headland just delivering the kill to seal the match, and that did just go final. So Washburn moves on, the number 3 seed in the MIAA volleyball tournament, moving on to the semifinals. So congratulations to them. And also some good news to pass along while we're doing college sports here. Good news to pass along for the pitch for KU soccer. They're going to the Sweet 16 for just the 3rd time in program history. They beat Louisville 3-1 with a pair of second-half goals. So KU women's soccer will play on Sunday. They will play either Duke or UCF. Congrats to Nate Lee and his program. They were terrific in the second half and well-deserved their 3-1 win over Louisville this afternoon in the NCAA tournament. All right, let's keep the headlines moving. This from the Big 12 today. Boy, about 3 weeks ago, there were very few people in college sports who were more powerful than Baylor Athletic Director Mack Rhoades. Not only was he the athletic director at Baylor, had overseen an athletic department in his tenure that had won 8 national championships, including Baylor's first in men's basketball, but he was also the chair of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. None of those things are true about Mack Rhoades anymore. He has resigned effective immediately as Baylor's athletic director. He had been the AD at Baylor since 2016, suddenly took a leave of absence from the position last week for what are being called personal reasons, and though there has not been a specific reason that has been shared publicly for Rhoades' departure, the reason for his departure is once again for his stepping down, essentially, and exiting as Baylor's athletic director is being listed as personal reasons. That makes 3 athletic directors in a row at Baylor who have left under a bit of a cloud. And this may have been a cloud of Mack Rhoades' own doing, and I don't want to speculate on what that cloud might be. Certainly don't want to compare it to the previous AD, Ian McCaw, who was covering up all of the misdeeds that were going on, the sex crimes, frankly, that were happening in Art Briles' football program that were being sort of swept under the rug. And it's not comparable, at least we hope it isn't comparable, to what made Tom Stanton have to leave the job as Baylor's athletic director when he was the AD, when Dave Bliss tried to cover up one of his players, murdering another one of his players as the head coach of the men's basketball program. That is an all-time, cannot believe that happened in college sports story. And that Dave Bliss got to coach somewhere again after that. It was a small, NAIA school, but still, the fact that anybody tried to hire Dave Bliss after he tried to cover up that one of his players had been murdered by another one of his players, and then tried to say it was because, well, that other guy, he wasn't such a great kid. Maybe he was dealing drugs. Maybe that's what we say. Insane story. So anyway, if you want to leave your job under controversy, take that Baylor AD gig, apparently. 3 in a row. 3 is a trend. Next headline, let's get back to the NFL. Joe Burrow, a full participant in practice for the 2nd day in a row, which would lead you to believe that there is a chance that he quarterbacks the Bengals against the New England Patriots on Sunday. He took all of the first-team reps. He's still on injured reserve. He's in the 21-day window to return, but he could be returned to the active roster any time during that 21-day window, and that means it is a possibility he could start on Sunday. That's the big quarterback news today. Lamar Jackson feeling better for the Baltimore Ravens. He was limited in practice on Wednesday, but he returned on Thursday as he has been dealing with an ankle injury. He actually didn't practice at all on Wednesday. I misspoke. He was not limited. He was a DNP on Wednesday with an ankle injury, but a full participant today, and says that it will probably be his routine moving forward the rest of this season, that he will not practice Wednesdays due to the injuries that he has dealt with this season. He's already been sacked, Lamar Jackson has, as many times this season in 7 starts than he was all of last season. One of many reasons why the Ravens have had a disappointing 2025 campaign. Other injury news in the National Football League. Remember running back Joe Mixon for the Houston Texans? Remember he had a foot injury in camp and everybody was being super cagey about it and super cagey about when he was going to be able to return to play? It turns out he's not going to return to play, at least not this season. He missed all the offseason workouts and all of training camp with that foot injury. He was placed on the NFI list, non-football injury list, at the end of camp, and his foot has just never healed. He rushed for over 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns last season for the Texans, earning Pro Bowl honors. The Texans have gotten some solid work from Woody Marks, the rookie out of USC this season. And Nick Chubb has led the Texans in rushing this year, coming off of all of his injury woes in his career with Cleveland, but hasn't quite been the same kind of pop in the running game that Joe Mixon offered them last year. And it is now reported that he is not going to play this season. While we're doing NFL injury notes, why don't we take a look at the Chiefs injury report? Chiefs and Colts both submitting their participation reports for this Thursday. Here's the good news for the Chiefs. After not practicing Wednesday, both wide receiver Xavier Worthy and guard Kingsley Suamataia returned on a limited basis to practice today, which could mean that they are trending towards playing Sunday against Indianapolis. Suamataia, of course, in concussion protocol. Xavier Worthy dealing with an ankle injury that he aggravated during a walkthrough earlier this week. And side note about the Chiefs, it has just been a bummer that Worthy's never really been 100% this year. And he's been out there after the shoulder injury he suffered on the opening drive of the season, caused him to miss a couple of games. He's been out there, but it just doesn't seem like he's the same guy, making the same kind of impact. Some of that is opportunity, a little bit less opportunity for him with Rashee Rice back in the fold. But, man, after the way he finished last year, really felt like there was a possibility for more big things for Xavier Worthy. We just haven't been able to see him this year, and I do think injury has played a role. That's the good news. If there is bad news, it is this. Isaiah Pacheco, who was a full participant on Wednesday, was downgraded to a limited participant today with that knee injury, working with that huge brace on the knee. He's trying to come back from the MCL sprain that has cost him the last 2 Chiefs games. Everybody else on the list who was a full participant Wednesday also participated in full today, including linebacker Jeffrey Bassa, safety Jaden Hicks, defensive end George Karlaftis, defensive end Charles Menahu, guard Trey Smith, and tackle Jawan Taylor. For the Colts today, the interesting development on their participation report. After not being listed on Wednesday, quarterback Daniel Jones limited today with a calf injury. Typically when that happens, when you go from not being on the list one day to being limited the next day, that could be you tweak something in practice. Doesn't mean that it's significant, just means it will be worth monitoring as we go into tomorrow. Daniel Jones, calf injury, limited today. Also limited for the Colts, defensive end Samson Ebukam for a second straight day with a knee injury. Defensive end Tyquan Lewis, who was upgraded from a DNP Wednesday to a full limited participation today with a groin injury. And those are the only limited participants today. Full participation for the Colts for linebacker Jalen Carleys, wide receiver Anthony Gould, cornerback Kenny Moore, who got a rest day on Wednesday, and cornerback Charvarius Ward, who looks to return to the Colts lineup and face his former team after being out with a concussion for a couple of games. Defensive tackle Grover Stewart got a vet rest day as well. He was a DNP. So that's what the injury report looks like for the Colts and the Chiefs. We can get one more headline in, I believe. Let's go to the Major League Baseball hot stove starting to simmer just a little bit. Atlanta Braves re-signed their closer, Raisel Iglesias, to a one-year contract worth $16 million. The 35-year-old had just finished up a 4-year, $58 million deal, so he'll continue to make $16 million a year. That'll be really easy to balance his books. Braves also made a trade, acquiring two-time Gold Glove utility man Mauricio Dubon from the Houston Astros in exchange for utility infielder Nick Allen. 31-year-old Dubon has won the utility Gold Glove in the National League, or the American League, rather, two of the last 3 seasons. Won it this last year and also won it in 2023. We didn't really get into the trade yesterday that was made, the Taylor Ward for Grayson Rodriguez trade. But pour one out for the Taylor Ward to the Royals rumors. We got a good year and a half out of those. And don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's going to stay in Baltimore for the final year of his contract. So pour one out for those rumors. If you were a hardliner on Taylor Ward needs to be a Royal 2 nights ago, that was a tough night for you to see that transaction come down the pike. Anyway, that will do it for our headlines. When we come back, the great Mitch Holthus will join us. The courtesy of Hy-Vee and Azure Credit Union. We will get Mitch's perspective and, of course, his nuggets of the night as we look ahead to Chiefs Colts this coming Sunday at Arrowhead Stadium. Stay with us on 580 Sports Talk. .525 on 580 Sports Talk. And if it's 5:25 on a Thursday, that means Mitch Holthus is in the building, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us as he does every Thursday at this time. A courtesy of our friends at Hy-Vee, your official tailgate headquarters for Kansas City Chiefs football, and by Azure Credit Union, where you can contact Crystal Rippey or Nassim Khan about the credit union advantage for your next home loan. Mitch, not where the Chiefs envisioned themselves coming out of the bye. A loss at Denver, putting them at 5-5, putting their division championship streak in jeopardy, putting the playoffs very much in jeopardy. You've been around the team this week. You've been at the facility. Do you notice maybe a renewed sense of urgency, a renewed sense of focus, or do you notice more frustration that an opportunity got away from them on Sunday in Denver?
No, I think the latter was part of Monday, but then that dissipated very quickly. They're now in a feeling, and I've tried to exude this from my other reports, on a series of 7 one-game seasons. And you can't even look ahead, and it's going to be in our face as soon as the Colts game is over because of the short week and you're traveling. But I would say that, no, there's a focus and an understanding, and the leadership of this team would have it be that way, even if it wasn't. So, yeah, it switched Tuesday morning, I would say, or even Monday night was when the switch happened to lock in on the Colts.
When you look at the Denver game, again, you're talking about a 1-score loss. It's not as though the Chiefs have gone out and in any of their 5 losses this year been soundly defeated or roundly dominated in any one facet of the game. But it's a moment here, a moment there, a missed connection here, a penalty there. When Andy Reid says at the podium after every loss and during the week following every loss, he talks about the need to clean things up. And I understand that those are the things that he means, but where does that have to start manifesting itself for this team to get those little details cleaned up that in the 5 losses have really been the difference? It's been the losses on the margins, the little things keeping them from having a better record.
Well, I laid out for you last week one of them that manifested itself again. You remember the double dip discussion. And the fact that the Chiefs now remarkably in 9 of 10 games have had the potential to be back-to-back possessions at the end of the second, start of the third. In the 5 wins, they've been incredible. 7 touchdowns, 1 field goal. In the 4 losses that pertain, because the Charger game was not fit this category, that's in a separate folder. But the 4 losses have been 0 touchdowns, 1 field goal, 4 3-and-outs, a turnover on downs, and the interception against the Broncos. That's one. Situational urgency at those critical moments. But it really breaks down to 3 phases, and I'm not trying not to give you a long-winded answer, but it's not a quick, this is take an aspirin and you're okay. Offensively, I think it would be seizing the moments. There's been just in the 5 losses, ghastly red zone turnovers. The drop by Kelsey, interception at the goal line to the Eagles. There's one. The 99-yard pick 6, that's in the red zone against the Jaguars. The red zone pick the other day, which ironically was in the back-to-back opportunity in the first start of the third quarter. There's offense. And then defensively, and something that has haunted this team, and your first nugget of the night, is that the Chiefs, on third down defensively, the opponent quarterback has a quarterback rating of 112.
Wow.
And you had third and 15 to get off the field, and you can't at the 21. If the Chiefs get off the field there, even if they give up some yardage, but if they get off the field, the Chiefs now have a chance to go down and kick the game-winning field goal. I mean, it was there. So it's get off the field when you get the chance, and then don't make the critical mistake. In the Charger game in Brazil, Chris Jones takes an inside path, leaves the outside open for Justin Herbert to scramble. The other night on that 3rd and 15 play, for whatever reason, Charles Omenihu loops all the way around to the backside. Well, you don't need the sack there as much as you need a disruption and get off the field. Push the pocket, use your wingspan to alter the physics of the throw or potentially knock it down, even if the receiver's open at 20 yards. And then on special teams, I'm doing a whole study on this, and I'm going to do a minute with Mitch on it week after next in the Houston week, because the Chiefs have normally been at the top of every special teams category or near the top ever since Dave Toub took over in 2013. Well, this year they're at the top of third most holding calls and kickoff returns, second most block in the backs on punt returns, and there's not been the explosive return for the Chiefs like they had even as recent as Nico Remigio last year in the playoffs. And they've not returned a kick or punt for a touchdown since the COVID year of 2020. So you've got a long answer here to your question, which is a good question, a loaded question, but it's all 3 phases and lots to clean up in all 3 phases.
Mitch Holthus is our guest, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Joins us every Thursday on the program, thanks to our friends at Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. Well, the Chiefs have cleared the mechanism, and they're looking ahead to the Colts, and now let's us do the same. And I want to start on the offensive side of the ball because I found something fascinating when I was looking at the matchup, because a lot will be made this week about the Chiefs going up against the Lou Anarumo defense. Lou Anarumo famously has had some success against Patrick Mahomes, most notably in the 2021 AFC Championship game. But one thing I noticed is that the Chiefs have run the ball very effectively against Lou Anarumo defenses in those matchups of the Chiefs and the Bengals while Anarumo was the defensive coordinator there. Now, obviously, it's a different personnel grouping he's working with in Indianapolis than it was with the Bengals. But is there an opportunity for the running game to be more of a factor against what Anarumo has liked to show the Chiefs in recent years? And how big a part will Kareem Hunt maybe play in that? I know you talked to him earlier this week.
Yeah, and I think teams are thinking, well, we'll just yield some of the run game and almost daring the Chiefs to run the ball. And we know that the Chiefs just run it occasionally. And Chiefs fans have wanted, congressional inquiries into a 3rd and 1 at the 19, which is on the fateful end of second quarter drive, and then a 3rd and 2 at the 20 on the last drive, which goes 3 and out to give the ball back to the Broncos to go win the game. So they have to run the ball. For example, even on 3rd and short, right now, Kareem Hunt is number 1 in the league. In 11 attempts on 3rd and 1, he's made 9. Nobody else has made more than that. Only guy closest, Josh Jacobs, who has 7 of 11. So Kareem Hunt's there to use, and Kareem Hunt's there to do the dirty work. Now, he's had to adjust his game. He's not the Kareem Hunt of 2017 getting 78-yard receptions against the Patriots to blow them out in the opening game in Foxborough. But what he is willing to do, and he is doing it, is do the dirty work. And it's a job that he's embracing.
It's a big role. It's something that, they gotta have trust in you to do that. So I feel like they put trust in me to be able to, take on that role. So I'm gonna find a way to make it happen.
And he's willing to do it, and he does it, and he does it well. He doesn't lose yardage. He doesn't have penalties. He's very valuable. If the Chiefs are going to flip this thing into these 7 one-game seasons, I'm going to answer your question. Kareem Hunt's a big part of it. The Chiefs have to allow him to be even a bigger part. He's not going to rip off a 30-yard run, but if you keep drives alive and you keep away from the opponent, that'll win you a lot of games.
The Colts offense has been the primary reason for their surprising 8-2 start. Jonathan Taylor is having a year that puts him firmly in the discussion for Offensive Player of the Year and maybe even MVP, averaging 6 yards a carry. Daniel Jones is putting together a season that I don't think many expected he was capable of when the Colts picked him up this offseason. They're doing a lot of things well on offense. What in particular must the Chiefs focus on if they're going to get the stops they need, get off the field, give their offense a chance to dictate the game? What does the Chiefs defense have to do against Taylor, Jones, and the Colts?
Whatever you think the Colts are, whatever Chiefs fans think the Colts are, whatever the national persona of what people think the Colts are, they're better. When I scuba dived into these guys, I stopped and oh my gosh. When you consider that they're the best in the league at a point differential of plus 115, we get Daniel Jones, really? Come on. Oh, Jonathan Taylor, well, he's a beast. And I've got my favorite stat of the night, maybe the stat of the night that I'll give you later, but it's way more than Jonathan Taylor. First of all, the rookie Tyler Warren has meant a lot to these guys, the rookie out of Penn State, the tight end. He has been baby Kelsey. He's like he and Brock Bowers are the new era tight ends, and they've been outstanding, but so have the wide receivers. Alec Pierce is good. He's number 1 in the league in yards per catch. Michael Pittman Jr. Is good, and particularly catching the deep ball. But Daniel Jones, nobody wants to kind of give him credit. Here's a nugget. He's the second Colt in history, going back to Johnny Unitas, to have 15-plus passing touchdowns. This is Daniel Jones. Yes, Daniel Jones. And 5 rushing touchdowns. Andrew Luck was the only other quarterback in Colt history when Luck did it in 2012. I mean, he's got the best passing yards per game in the National Football League. If you had that on your bingo card at the beginning of the year, bingo for you. Pat's second, by the way, in that. But when Jones went for 316 on Denver's defense, you're going, okay, that'll get your attention. And so there's way more here than Jonathan Taylor. And I think that we can get caught up in thinking and then their defense they deserve a little more attention than they're getting. We just don't see the Colts. America doesn't see the Colts. They're not on prime time. They got Daniel Jones. Oh, well, that's no big deal. Let's look at everybody else. And now all of a sudden, I'm going to tell you, Dan, on the 20th of November, the Colts are a viable threat to win the AFC. I think they're that good. And when they picked up Sauce Gardner, that was a huge piece for them, although expensive, to show you that the Colts are all in on 2025.
Speaking with Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs here on 580 Sports Talk. The Colts, going into their bye, had a couple of difficult games. They had lost to the Steelers. They needed overtime to beat the Falcons. And one of the hallmarks of that stretch was they had turned the ball over 8 times in those 2 games combined, where they had just 4 turnovers in their first 8 games of the entire season. The Chiefs defense has struggled to create turnovers this year, only 9 forced turnovers in their first 10 games. What do the Chiefs have to do to start generating more of those field flipping plays? Because we had this same conversation last year, and then late in the year, they had that stretch. It was the Christmas stretch where they had 3 games in 11 days where they forced 2 turnovers apiece in all 3 of those games, Browns, Texans, and Steelers. What has to happen for this defense to go on a similar run of forcing turnovers, starting against a quarterback who in his career has been known to be turnover prone?
Well, and let's go back. I didn't answer what do the Chiefs have to do to slow down this Colts defense, and it's not just sell out on Jonathan Taylor. They've really got to trust their eyes because Daniel Jones has been good off play action passing, and he can get a lot of deep passes to Pierce and to Michael Pittman Jr. And to Tyler Warren. Warren's he's just a beast, and the Chiefs are the last in the league in the yards they've given up to tight ends. Now, let's go to your next question is how do you get takeaways? And the Chiefs, only 5 teams have fewer takeaways than the Chiefs, and it's amazing that the Chiefs are sitting here at plus. They're +3, which means they're not giving it away much. It's just been crucial ones, the 3 red zone ones I gave you, and the 3 of the 5 losses. But they're not taking it away either. And I think there's so much methodical about this defense right now. And I think that even the inability to break on the ball, that's part of the third down issue. Yes, it's pressure, but sometimes you've got to be able to play 7-on-7 defense, meaning I've got to defend when my guys don't get the great pressure. And that means I'm going to be in the scheme, but I've got to be aggressive in that scheme and make plays on the ball. It just seems like the Chiefs are incredibly tentative right now. And you can hack it out, poke it loose. I'm going to tell you the guy right now he's got the opposite mentality is Leo Chenal. Right now he wants to rip everybody up and just, can I take it away from everybody that's got the ball? The rest of the team needs to get Leo's fervor for that and look to pop it out, look to strip, look to do the Peanut Tillman ball out. And then the DBs have got to trust their game. The DBs have got to say, I'm going to break on this ball and try to make a play here because really McDuffie right now is the only one, sometimes a little bit Noel Williams, but he's not getting a lot of time right now. Everybody seems to be so caught up in the scheme and doing things methodical that, man, just play and cut it loose. And we've seen that a little bit contagious when it happens, as you alluded to at the end of last year. But they're going to need that in the 7 one-game season stretch they're in.
All right, Mitch, I'll give you the opportunity to empty the notebook of nuggets here as we look towards this matchup that probably on paper back in August, I don't know that we would have anticipated it would be this kind of a matchup, and that if you'd told me one team would be 8-2 and one would be 5-5, I think the vast majority of the NFL population would have gotten their guess wrong back in August. But here the Chiefs stand 5-5 and in need of a win back at Arrowhead against this very good Colts team.
Yeah, it's good Pat, bad Pat. Pat under pressure this year when he's at above 25% pressure rate has the 3rd lowest completion percentage. I never saw it say that. On 3rd down plays, the 3rd worst with 4 interceptions. Now, the good is he's never lost 3 in a row in the regular season. When he's been faced with this situation, he's 5-0. He locks in. But my stat of the night, Jonathan Taylor, this isn't it, but he has had 6 runs this year. He's clocked at 20 miles an hour. That's not a receiver running a go route. That's not Tyreek Hill. This is a running back getting steam up. and he gets to 0 to 20 miles an hour fast. But here's my favorite stat, or least favorite stat, getting ready to play Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor has 1,139 rushing yards. That leads the NFL. He has 891 yards after contact. Only James Cook of Buffalo has more overall rushing yards than Taylor's yards after contact. So list all the guys in the league, all the rushing totals, and Jonathan Taylor has more yards after contact than everybody else has rushing yards. That's a stunning stat to me. And when he got the 286 scrimmage yards in the game, in the international game against Atlanta, and 3 touchdowns, he was only one of 3 NFL players to do so. We can get caught up thinking it's only about Jonathan Taylor, and it's not. But Jonathan Taylor is a special dude. And if you get him running 20 miles an hour down the field, you're going to have a long day. This is a huge game. This is a game where I'm telling you, whatever the fans think about the Colts, they need to rethink it, because this Colt team's legitimate to me.
Arrowhead will be rocking on Sunday at noon as the Chiefs take on the Indianapolis Colts. Mitch Holthus will have the call on the Chiefs Radio Network. You'll be able to hear it right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9 with pregame coverage starting at 11 a.m. Sunday. Mitch's appearances on 580 Sports Talk are brought to us by Hy-Vee, your official tailgate headquarters for Kansas City Chiefs football, and by Azure Credit Union, where you can contact Crystal Rippey or Naseem Khan about the credit union advantage for your next home loan. Mitch, have a great call. We will talk to you next Tuesday before the Thanksgiving game.
Yeah, it's going to be a quick turnaround. Chiefs need to win this, but as soon as there's zeros on the clock, you hug your family, you get a sandwich, and it's already Wednesday of the next week as soon as this game is over. That tells you how brutal being on the road is on a short week. But first things first, 1-game season, Sunday at noon.
It's a big one for sure. Thanks again, Mitch. That is Mitch Holthus. We will step aside for a timeout. We'll come back, and I have a thought about the Chiefs and accountability this season. That's coming up next as we take the turn, head for home here on 580 Sports Talk. 546 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero with you. Good thought from Mark in the YouTube comments. Mark B, that is. I'm still not sold on the Colts considering who they played. Chiefs have got to have this one, though. Run defense better be on. If Jones has a dodgy calf, that's an interesting one. Like a calf injury cropping up, that's different than, oh, I rolled my ankle or, oh, I jammed my thumb on the helmet or something. Like, calves can be tricky. And Daniel Jones popped up on the injury list today for the Colts. He was not listed yesterday. He was listed today as limited with a calf, which means he did something today. So that'll be worth keeping an eye on going into tomorrow for sure. We got about 15 minutes, a little less than that, really 14 here on 580 Sports Talk today. 7:30 tonight, pregame coverage from T-Mobile Center in Kansas City. The Hall of Fame Classic, K-State men's basketball getting set tonight to take on Mississippi State. We'll have all the action. Tip-off time scheduled around 8:30. You know how these multi-team events go, but the pregame will start at 7:30 regardless on the K-State Sports Network from Learfield here on 580 WIBW. K-State taking on Mississippi State tonight. It's first time this year that K-State has played a team ranked higher in the KenPom than they are. K-State's reward for beating Tulsa by a point on Monday was fall 5 spots in the KenPom. They're down at number 66. Chris Jans's Mississippi State Bulldogs are 45th. They are 2-1 on the season. So K-State has played one more game for whatever that is worth. And one thing about a Chris Jans team, Chris Jans, of course, head coach of Mississippi State, former top deputy assistant to Greg Marshall for those great Wichita State teams of about a decade ago. His team's going to D you up. I don't think K-State's getting to 80 tonight. They get to 80, they probably shot the heck out of it. So can you win if you don't get to 80, if you're Kansas State? Right now, I don't know that answer is yes, but we're going to find out tonight. This is a really fascinating game, I think, for Kansas State. It's a really good test at this time of year. A team like Mississippi State, defensive-minded coach, Power 4 school. It's a good time to play them, I think. And should be a good crowd, I would imagine, in Kansas City tonight for that game at the Hall of Fame Classic. If you want to hear it right here, 580 WIBW FM News 104.9. If you want to watch it, better have Peacock. It is, I believe, a Peacock exclusive tonight. I have Peacock. I've got the, I pay for that. It's got Barney on it. My kid likes Barney. And don't blame me, blame my wife. Anyway, but I pay for Peacock and be checking out the K-State Wildcats tonight. Late tip, but maybe they've been fun to watch so far, so hopefully it'll be worth staying up for. Then tomorrow, they'll either play at 6 or at 8:30. So if they lose tonight, we're short an hour of sports talk tomorrow. We're done at 5. If they win tonight, then they tip late, and we'll have our usual 3 to 6 time slot. Anywho, more about what we got coming up on the weekend on tomorrow's show. I had a quick thought about the Chiefs and accountability today, because a lot of you seem to think, and by you, I am referring to you, the listener, who text the show or comment in the YouTube comments. And it was something that we touched on Monday. Feels like there's not a lot of guys being held accountable for their mistakes with this team. Juwan Taylor's the most obvious example. Dave Tobe's another one you guys want accountability for. Dave Tobe spoke to me earlier today. We didn't play it. Somebody asked Tobe about what President Trump had to say about the new kickoff rule. And I don't know that anybody has ever wanted to talk about anything or think about anyone less in that moment than Dave Tobe wanted to remark about what Donald Trump thinks about an NFL rule. Dave Tobe was not here for that question. And I don't know who asked it, but I don't know why you felt like this was the time. Very, very strange that came up at today's press conference. And Dave Tobe was not here for. He had no interest in answering that question or talking about it at any kind of length. But you can understand why Dave Tobe might be a little irascible at this point. He did say during his press availability, they have internal metrics to rank special teams units. I don't know what those are. He didn't elaborate. I'm actually kind of fascinated to know what those things would be. But they're not favorable to the Chiefs. They rank 22nd in their own metric as a special teams unit this year. The Colts, for what it's worth, ranked second. So it's a close game, comes down to special teams. Might not be one that goes the Chiefs' way, given the Colts' apparent advantage in that department. But again, you talk about accountability, and I'm not suggesting the Chiefs need to fire Dave Towe midseason. I think there's enough goodwill built on some really solid special teams units in years past. But it's past time to do something a little different, work on something a little different when it comes to kick return and the punt return, right? And not just the return, but the coverage. It's been bad all year, and it doesn't get better. How are we in week 11 and it's not better? Where's the accountability there? Where's the accountability for Steve Spagnuolo all of a sudden deciding Christian Fulton is a starting member of his defense after he couldn't get off the oak for 10 weeks? Why is Noah Williams, who came out of the gate performing at a level that at least some evaluators like Pro Football Focus believe made him one of the elite rookie defensive backs in football this season, how come he can't play anymore? How did he get passed on the depth chart for doing his job? I think there are real questions to be asked, and there's no deodorant like winning, right? Winning covers up a lot of stenches. And that's kind of what you're starting to see happen last year with the Chiefs. That they were penalty prone and they were mistake prone and they were not great on special teams, and they were much better in the kicking game, but they were not great on special teams coverage and returns. But they kept winning. So as long as you're winning, things are fine. Well, they're not winning right now. They don't get back to winning, then maybe this isn't the time to have the conversation about accountability, but moving forward, there had better be some accountability for some guys who are making the kinds of mistakes that threaten to send this season down a pretty dark path. We'll take one final break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we return, it's the final word. We're going to wrap it up after this. Wrapping up, walking off this edition of 580 Sports Talk here on this Thursday night. Thanks so much for hanging out with me throughout the program today. We'll look forward to being back with you tomorrow. Whether we get 2 hours or 3 will depend on the K-State results tonight. If they lose, we're off at 5. If they win, well, we'll do the full 3 hours of 580 Sports Talk tomorrow. Final word for me today. I talked earlier in the show about the want-to meter in the Big 12. And I think it's worth discussing as we go through this season where Kansas State has obviously failed to meet expectations and disappointed. And Kansas feels like they've disappointed a little bit, maybe are stagnating a little bit or plateauing, maybe a better way to put it, a more optimistic way to put it anyway, under Lance Leipold. I think that both programs have the desire to be great at football. There's no questioning their want to. And to me, that puts them ahead of half the league right then and there. That puts them in really good company and should put them in position, even if they don't ever write the kind of checks that Texas Tech wrote this year to build their awesome team. It's going to put them in position over the long haul to field competitive teams, winning teams, and in the best of years, play for and maybe win a Big 12 championship. But the balancing act that both teams are going to have to perform, the balancing between having aspirations and managing those aspirations. You tell a donor, a big money donor, to cut a big check for your football program, they're going to expect the high end of their expected return. How do you manage those expectations for the donors? Like, hey, we may not win the Big 12 if you write us this check, but we'll win 9 or 10 games. We'll give ourselves a chance to win the Big 12. We'll be really, really good. We'll sell out the stadium. You will be proud of your alma mater's football team. We will be recognizably a good football team if you write us this check. That might not be the selling point that other donors might think it is. Sometimes you have to promise the moon to get that big check. When the moon isn't delivered, what happens to the checks? That's the balancing act that K-State and KU, I think, are going to have to play over the long haul. That'll do it for me today. We're back tomorrow from 3 until to be determined. My name is Dan Lucero. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.